everyone, and welcome to another interview. And today we are joined by Yolanda. And Yolanda is a fractional COO to visionary CEOs. And I'm so excited that she's here because we are really up leveling the conversations we are having in terms of growing our business. And as you know, the theme of this interview is really about what it takes to stay in business. And Yolanda, when you and I connected some time ago, you were talking about how a plan not to fail is not the same as a plan to succeed. So I would really love you to introduce yourself and tell us where did that realization come from?
Okay, good morning. Or good afternoon. Hi, everyone. My name is Yolanda Churchwell, as was said. And so for me, that realization came from being able to fail forward. This is not my first business endeavor. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. It runs in my bones. And so I had a retail store. And it was a retail store that sold dress clothes for men and women. I'm a preacher kid. So sold dress clothes for men and women, took off, instant success. I had clients across 3 states. I had a brick and mortar. I had online. I was doing vendor events, personal stylists. Everything took off like a rocket. Meanwhile, I'm doing this beside my 9 to 5, which at that point in time, I was working for the IRS. I was in a career position. And so, what I started to notice as the business continued to grow is that things became heavy in the sense that I wasn't able to manage. My bank account said you're a success, but on the inside, I just felt like I was letting people down. There's a lot of ordering that comes into place. There was a lot of deliveries. It was just a lot of bookkeeping. Me, the person who works at the IRS, wasn't doing my sales tax returns on time. So it was just a whole lot. I didn't have a stable team and stuff. And so I, being me, always have a plan, a backup plan to my backup plan, and a backup plan to that backup plan. But what it allowed me to see is that I had plans in case it didn't work, but I didn't have a plan for what it did when it did work. And so that made me realize that a plan not to fail is not the same thing as a plan to succeed. You have to have a plan in place for when your business grows so that it can continue to grow and you don't stifle its growth and end up not being able to move forward because you aren't doing well. Or in my case, you literally make a decision that if I can't do it to the best of my capability, then I'm not going to do it at all.
Yeah, I really love that you highlight that because when we spoke about, also being Black women and having businesses that grow, it's not common. So it's so nice to see you like really set that example for the other women in businesses because we know the statistics. So going back to systems, we hear systems a lot, but what does it specifically mean? What do you exactly do in the back end of your client's business?
Okay, so in the back end of the business, what I do is basically if you've been in business for a while, okay, you know what you do, you know how you do it, and you know who you do it for. You've experienced some level of success. You've experienced enough success that you are now starting to feel what I like to call this tug of war. It's a tug of war between what it is you do for your clients and all of the things that it takes to run a business, the back end per se. So what I do is I come in and I help you to determine your strategy, to put in place your SOPs and your processes, and then also to have the systems that will support those processes so that you can continue to grow. I like to say that growth requires new solutions. What you were doing in the past is not going to work in the new place that you're going. So I'm going to come in and help you figure out that roadmap to success so that you can go from being a chief everything officer to being a visionary CEO where you literally stand at the top of mountains and look down and see rivers of opportunity and streams of income.
Yes, chief everything officer. That's exactly what CEO is, but no, we don't want to be chief
We don't want to
everything.
be that kind. No.
No, we don't. So can you think of a client or past client that went from being chief everything officer to actually visionary CEO? And what was actually the systems that you put in place for them?
Okay, so I think it's very important that we pause here because a lot of people feel like, oh, okay, I need systems, I need systems, I need systems. And you go out and you buy systems like buy kitchen gadgets. Okay, I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. Give me 4 jobs, I'm good. But I do know how to do it. I just don't want to do it. But for some reason, I love shiny kitchen gadgets. So I go out and I buy them. I have 3 George Foremans. Why do I have 3 George Foremans? Honestly, The first one, okay, everybody bought into it when they first came out. I didn't even know that I had one because I had taken it off the counter and put it into the cabinet. Okay, so then I'm watching one of those infomercials at night, and this is when they realize what we already knew as women is that the grease has to go somewhere. We had created a grease trap, whether you had a paper plate, a paper towel, something you had put there. Well, they made this small little cute little dish that the grease could run off and a cute little spatula to clean it. So that was beautiful to me. I love when something seems all put together. So I bought it, not remembering that I had the first one in the cabinet. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I bought the third one, I did know that I had at least one in the kitchen. But I bought the third one because it came with a ninja smoothie maker. This is when they first came out. I didn't want the George Foreman. I wanted the ninja smoothie maker. So I bought the first George Foreman because everybody was buying them. I bought the second one because it had perks and privileges. I bought the third one because it came with something awesome. That's how a lot of people are going about buying systems. Somebody said it's great. Oh, I heard the name. Oh, it's awesome. But does that really support your business? There's a step before you put your systems in place, and that's knowing how you do what you do. That's creating your SOPs. Because in reality, systems support your processes, your standard operating procedures. So that first step for my clients is to come in and let's talk about your overall strategy. What are your goals for the next 12 to 18 months? Then let's make sure that we write down, document, implement, review, revise, all of the above, how you do what you do. Because this is going to be a major stepping stone for so many things. But one of the things that it does is to make sure that you know what systems you need. There's no point in you having three George Foremans when you don't even need a George Foreman to do your business.
Wow, I love that you highlight that and how you broke that down. Because to be very honest with you, whenever people talk about systems, it's like it sounds like this complex thing, but it's not really explained like how you have to think about going to that point of growing your business through developing those systems. So,
Mhm.
what would you say is actually the tipping point where people realize, like, okay, I really need to start working on those back end systems?
So I would say the point where you know that you're ready to systematize your back end is again, you're starting to feel this tug of war. What happens? What does that look like for you as a CEO? You find yourself working later, you find yourself working harder, you feel like your sense of accomplishment is lost. You feel like you're not accomplishing anything. You may have several projects that you've started, especially if you're a visionary, and most CEOs are visionaries. And what happens is you have all of these great ideas and you want to implement them all at one time. So you end up with a lot of started projects, which then decreases your confidence because you feel like you're not getting anything done. You start to feel like perhaps you're a failure. You're overwhelmed. You're starting to get frustrated. And at the end of the day, it's harder to do the things that you used to do because you've reached capacity. And so this is at the point where you do want to take a moment, stop, make sure that you have those work processes, those standard operating procedures in place, because that's going to allow you to make better use of your time, even if you're still a solopreneur. It's going to help you to hire a team. It's going to help you to be able to choose the systems that are going to help you. Because, as I like to say, my biz besties, automate and delegate are the key to being able to scale your business to the next level. You can't do everything on your own. And
Mhm.
as Black women specifically, we are nurtured, we are raised to be like Wonder Women, like we can do it all. I don't need any help. And we've got to stop doing that because that's what's crippling us as CEOs. We remain entrepreneurs, we remain small business owners. That's someone who created a business, but yet you're working the business. You're working for it. But what you need to be as a CEO, which means that you are running your business.
I love that. And would you say that there is a typical like monthly revenue where people are at, and then that's the point where they're ready to start with the systems, or is it agnostic
So
of
I'm going to say it's agnostic of what you're making because the first thing I want to share is that it's not a one-time thing. As your business continues to grow to new levels, you always want to be taking a moment and looking at how you're operating and where you want to go. That's going to determine when you need to take these steps and be able to move forward. Again, it's going to be more of the feelings that you have. And as women, we are very emotional, so we are very aware of what we feel, even when we don't want to address it. But it's basically you're not able to do what you've been doing to the same degree. It's the example that I have with my store. My bank account looked good, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of things going on that were bringing me frustration and overwhelm. That's typically going to be the two main signs. Your bank account look good, but there's a whole lot that's going on and you just feel like you can't keep up. And sometimes it's you're good, you have everything in place where you needed to have it, that's working, but you want to add a new stream of income because remember I said when you get to the point that you are a visionary CEO, if you've ever stood on a mountain and you look down, you can see the water. Okay, so as you free yourself up from the weeds of everything, you're going to be available for opportunities that come to your business. So it may be that you want to add a new income stream or you have some new opportunities. And so you want to make sure that you set those up correctly because you've gone down that path and you know that this is what's coming. So now you want to be proactive about it.
Yeah,
But for the most part, you will be making money in your business. You will be starting to have a profit. A lot of my clients are at six figures trying to get to seven. The next smaller group is people who are at five figures trying to break through to six. But most of my clients are at six figures trying to get to seven. They have been doing what they do, they know what they're doing. It's just, okay, this is some new terrain in how to go to the next level.
yeah, and talking about that next level, because obviously who they are at that chaos is different than who they have to be to also
Mhm.
potentially let go of some control. Like, what would you say is that biggest identity transformation that your clients will go through?
So I'll say that the biggest crisis is that a lot of people want to delegate, but they're not ready to delegate. So everyone wants to hire someone, everyone wants to build a team. But what I often find is that when I work with a lot of my clients, they will have hired a VA and they say, oh, that didn't work. And so they let that one go. And then they hire another one and they let that one go. And we could be on like our third, fourth, fifth VA. And I have to be the one to say, it's not the VAs, it's you. It's you because you haven't taken the time to be able to know how you do what you do. You haven't laid out your work processes. You don't have SOPs in place. So you bring this person on board and then they're sitting there looking at you. You're looking at them. You're expecting them to read your mind to be able to know what it is they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That osmosis is not how you run a business. Okay. Let's just be clear. Reality, a lot of people want to delegate, but they're not ready to delegate. There's some mindset shifts that you have to have because you hire, fire, hire, fire, hire, fire. And it's not them, it's not the VAs, it's you. You haven't taken the time to lay out what it is you want them to do. You have ideas, you may even have a set of lists, but how do you want them to go about doing the task that you need done?
Mm.
Okay. So you get them, they're frustrated, you're frustrated. And at the end of the day, that's the first part. That's only the first part. The second part is, are you ready to let go? I can admit that I had to make this mindset shift. Now, I'm not a micromanager, although that could be some people's problem. I am a if I can control it, I knew I was a if I can control it, then I know that it's going to be done the way that I want it to be done.
Mm.
There's no room for that's not saying that other people can't do it, but it's saying that I am secure in me doing it. So you have to grow as a CEO to a point where you will allow other people to do the job that you hired them to do. Whether that means that you don't micromanage them, whether it means that you don't expect people, and this is one of the biggest lessons, don't expect your team to move exactly as you would move. It's not that they need to be little mimics of you. It's not that they need to be perfect in the way that they do it just like you do it. They just need to move with a spirit of excellence. They need to be able to do the task with a spirit of excellence. And surprisingly, let me tell you what happens when you allow that to happen. Not only do they get the things done that you need done and they're done well, but they bring their own self to that role. They feel some ownership. They have some initiative and they're able to bring innovative ideas that help you to grow and scale in new ways. So, by letting go of those limiting beliefs and making sure that you have the right processes in place on the back end, it's easy to delegate. It's easy for your business to continue to grow and scale, even in ways that you hadn't imagined.
And in my audience, we'll have a lot of coaches, consultants, agency owners. Like, how does a typical team look like when they get to that point?
So a lot of times, and this is what I tell people, the biggest one, and again, one of the biggest misconceptions is, oh, I need to hire a VA, and I need to hire this, and I need to hire that, and you're listing it as roles. That's not the right way to do it. What are the tasks that you need completed? You look at the tasks that you need completed, and then you're able to, this is how these tasks get done. That's where you create your SOPs. Then you use that same mentality to say, this is how I'm going to write the job description. You use that same mentality to do the interviews, to hire, to train, to develop, to evaluate. It's the same. That's why I say the building block is your work processes. Then you add all of the team, the delegation, you add the systems, all of the automation. So there is no cookie cutter. There's no, okay, I need a VA and then I need sales and then I need a COO. No, it's what parts you as a CEO need to be focusing on your highest revenue generating task. Everything else you should be finding create a way for somebody else to do that. Okay. For most coaches, consultants, that means that you're going to do sales and you're going to do client delivery. Those are the two things you need to focus on. Everything else we're going to figure out. So if sales is not your strength, first of all, as a CEO, you got to build that muscle a little bit. I'm telling you something that I had to learn. You are the captain of your own ship. You need to be able to do everything to a certain degree of excellence. Okay. So, yes, you need to know how to do it because you got to tell people how to do it for your business. Then you can then relinquish that role. But there is no set, this is the org chart, this is how it works, because it's going to be dependent on what is it that you do in your business. Now, I will say that admin is something that you want to bring someone on relatively early in the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a VA. And it doesn't mean that's the only skill set that they'll have. If you could hire people who have multiple skill sets, then that's going to work out better for you. So you definitely want to make sure that you're focused on those highest revenue generating tasks. Then you create a plan so that you can do everything else easier and better. That's where delegate and automate come in, your processes and your systems. And then you go from working in and for your business to running your business. And that's how you shift from chief everything officer to visionary CEO.
Love, love, love that breakdown. Honestly, so much clarity. Like the expertise is just it's here, it's here. What would you say is like the necessary skills that you see, talking about skills that it's needed for someone to really stay in business?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. Um, so I'm gonna say it's a lot like a relationship. What you do to get them is what you got to do to keep them.
Okay.
Okay. So as a business owner, what you have to do is you have to keep that same drive from when you started. Okay. You cannot get lackadaisical. You cannot feel like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just remove myself from the business. You will see that. I've seen that in ads on Facebook and stuff. Walk away from your business. Well, if you're gonna walk away, you might as well sell it. Now, I don't expect everyone to be like me. I love what I do. I never want to walk away. I want to be in my business. I just want to make sure that my role is strategic. My role is in running the business. It's not in working in and for the business. It's not doing all of those tasks. But if you want to remain in business, you need to make sure that you are constantly staying focused on the long term. You can't get caught up in the weeds and become an employee. You really don't even want to be a manager. You need to stay in that visionary role where you're continuing to see new opportunities and you're going forward with them. Now, you will have a team who will be able to take care of the day to day. You'll have a manager. Oftentimes, that's someone like me, a COO who comes in and takes care of those things for you so that you can continue to take your business to the new level. So, the skill sets that you need to have is the same reason that you went in. Everybody says, what's your why? Again, what's your why? Pick a why that is going to resound within you that never goes away. Okay. Does that mean it doesn't shift? No, absolutely not. But you want a reason that you started this that will continue on so that you can continue to grow it. You want to be in love with it. You want to continue, as old folks say, courting and sparking. You want to make sure that you're doing the things, giving to it, and it's giving back to you. And then just knowing that growth is what you want to do. Anything that's not growing is dying. So continue to dream, continue to set goals, continue to have new ideas and write them down. As I said, I'm a PK. I tell all my clients, I'm not going to judge you on what you feel, but just know working with me, you're going to get some scripture and you're going to get some little lessons. And so the Bible says, Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain. That is your job. Your job is to write it down. Your job is to work toward it. And so those are the basic skill sets, is that you need to want it. You need to be willing to do what you did when you started. When we start businesses, you don't care about working 80 hours. You don't care about giving your all. Now, if you do it smartly, you don't have to work as hard, but you still have the mindset and the attitude that you're willing to do that. And then make sure that you have goals and you're continuing to develop new goals and achievements that you want your business to be able to do.
Amazing. Those sounds indeed like CEO level skill set. So Yolanda, like what is a recent investment that you have made in your own business to continue growing and scaling it?
So, a recent investment that I made is actually a soft skill. Um, and I'm a firm believer that every CEO needs a coach. If you meet someone, especially a coach, if you meet a coach that doesn't have a coach, I'm going to tell you to run for the hills because nobody knows everything. Okay. And we all need to continue. Again, that's one of those skill sets is continuing education. A lawyer doesn't just read the laws from 2024 and then want to practice through 2040. They have to continue to learn. Okay. And so we need to be the same way, sharpening our skills. But for me, I had a problem with, because again, I had a 9 to 5 until I retired in August. I had to be able to create a harmony between doing my job during the day and running my business all around that. And so what I found is that my messaging, getting visible, you can't work for the IRS and then expect to be out there in front of people. So now that I'm doing my business full time, I had to figure out how to be more visible. So I actually did a 30-day challenge with a young lady who teaches you about how to make your messaging clearer, how to make sure that you're being seen, how to be able to work smarter. It's not that you need to make 20 posts a day. It's that if you make one post 3 times a week, it needs to be of substance. So the most recent investment that I made in myself was to take this 30-day challenge and learn how to build that muscle so that my post and my content is a lot stronger. My emails are a lot stronger. And so that they capture my ideal clients' attention and then they understand what it is that I offer and how to connect with me.
Yeah, I love that. And indeed, in terms of how to connect with you, what would you say is different in your approach of approaching systemizing the back end and operations of your clients?
Okay, so help me to understand what you're asking me. You want me to explain, say one more time?
Yeah, what is different about your approach compared to other fractional
Okay.
COO?
All right. Well, I'm just gonna say I've always been different. Let's just call it what it is. I've always been different. I like to believe it's a good different. Now there okay. So my thing is that first of all, there is no cookie cutter approach. I'm not gonna say this is the way that you do it. I'm also not the type of person who feels like my way is the only way. A lot of times, and I know your audience has quite a few coaches in it, you will understand this completely. Just because one person does it that way doesn't mean everyone's going to do it that way. You have to be able to have the conversations with your clients to determine what parts of how you do it will work for them and what parts you're going to need to customize. I have almost to a fault been willing to customize because I want to make sure that people get what it is that they need. So while I have a framework, while I have a product, I do have, and I have service offerings, I will tweak those. I will customize them so that they fit the clients that I have. And again, most of my clients have been doing what they do for a while. So it's not elementary things that they need. It's how do I get over this mountain? How do I put this new program in place? How do I offer this new service offering? And so you can't say, well, you do A, B, C, D, and E. You could say, we're going to start with these traditional methods, and then we're going to review what has been happening, and then we will be able to then decide how you pivot, how you turn. So what makes me different is that each client is an individual to me. I see them as an individual. I see their businesses as individual, and I cater to that specific business. It's kind of like what they taught me at the IRS. Whoever your boss is at the moment, that's who you please. Whoever my client is at the moment, that's what I focus on, and that's how I address their issues.
Love that. That like high touch approach in
Yeah.
delivering the service. So, what are your services and where can people find you?
So I like to play on LinkedIn, and I'm right now I'm learning how to play on YouTube. I'm having a lot of fun, y'all. And so I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm gonna be honest with you. My play places are LinkedIn and YouTube. How you can connect with me there. You can also go to my website. The service offerings that I have. So basically, right now, what I have is a couple different offers. It's one, someone who's like, you know what? I really know that I need to get ready to scale my business, but I don't have any of these work processes that you're talking about in place. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take some time, and we're going to, I have two levels of this, a new level where we're going to work on your mindset. Because, as I stated, being able to delegate and actually delegating, wanting to delegate and being able are two different things. So, I have a new program that I'm rolling out that's 30 days. We're going to be able to make sure you have what you need to know how to do it. We're going to give you a hiring plan. We're going to talk about what you need in order to create your SOPs. It's very high level. The second one, that's where you get that one on one touch with me. We're actually going to create all of those SOPs. We're going to build up your team. We're going to make sure that you have everything that you need. I'm going to help manage your team, train your team. And if you don't have a team, again, I'm still a done for you agency as well. So I have a team, and we will do those things while we're in the process of building you a team. And then there's my retainer services, in which I just become that CEO's partner, and we're in it for the long run, whether that's 6 months or beyond. I am there with you day to day in the trenches. We figure out what works and what doesn't work. That's a retainer model. So I have I need to figure out what I need to figure out kind of thing. And then I have the full, let's get my processes in place. And then I have the full scale retainer. I need a partner. Yolanda, let's make it do what it do.
Yay! Thank you so much, Yolanda, for being here and also for bringing so much clarity in terms of how people have to think about systemizing the back end of their business, as well as understanding better like what systems really is about, instead of just hearing the word systems all the time and thinking I need systems, but really understanding, okay, what does it allow us to do in our business? And again, being a Black woman and also growing our businesses, I loved having you here so much. So thank you. And everyone, go ahead and connect with Yolanda if you need her services. Anything else you want to share with us?
So yes, you said what? How do people know that they are ready to scale? So I have a quiz, and I want to share that quiz with you guys, and I'll make sure you have the information so that you'll be able to drop it.